So today we are going to discuss some of the most important practical lessons that can make your GLP journey much easier. See, many people think that once they start medications like Ozempic or Wegovy or Mounjaro or any other GLP drugs, even if it is retatrutide, the medication alone will take care of everything. But that's not the reality. That's not the truth. That's not the case it is. See, the medication is only one part of the journey. And the way you prepare, right, before that and during that, and the way you eat, the way you do exercise, and the way you manage the side effects, all these will determine the long-term success of your GLP journey. So let's go through the most important things that everyone should know before starting your GLP-1 journey. And I'm discussing this from the experience of I myself using this, and my friends, my relatives, my sister, right, and my clients. So I've seen this journey directly from them, and I've read about this, and my knowledge about this, that's exactly what I'm sharing here. So let's go through the most important things that everyone should know before starting. So I'll divide like this: before starting, what you need to do, and when you start, what you need to do, and during that, what you need to do, and when you start quitting, then what you need to do. Okay, so the first step is understand your baseline health, where you stand before you start your GLP-1 medication. So before you starting your GLP-1 medication, it is very important that you should be knowing where your body is standing. So you can do the important test like whatever is suggested by your endocrinologist, like basic tests like blood sugar, HbA1c you can do, and fasting insulin, thyroid function, your lipid profile, your kidney function test, your liver function test, right? And a basic metabolic panel, and all these something which you need to do. And these values are going to become your starting point. In fact, I'm not talking about these values are not going to measure your weight loss, right? It's not only helping to measure your weight loss, but they'll actually help you to improve, or you will be able to measure the improvement in your metabolic health over a period of time when you are using this GLP-1 medication. So that's the first step. Now, second step is you need to prepare before your first injection. Don't wait until the side effect begin, right? See, if your doctor recommending medication for nausea, you need to have it already before you even actually need it. So before starting itself, you need to get prepared. You need to keep electrolytes available, especially sodium, potassium, and magnesium. And that preparation, if you have that, always makes the first few weeks much easier when you start your GLP. Now, the third point is probably that's one of the most important point that I want to discuss. Build your protein habit even before you start this, because once you start GLP-1 medication, your appetite will suppress very effectively. So your protein intake, forget about protein, your food intake will come less. So you will lose, a lot of protein, and you will lose muscle also. And if you don't develop the habit of eating enough protein before you starting the treatment, you'll simply eat very less of everything, including protein, and that lead to risk of heavy muscle loss, and then that lead to other metabolic issues also. So make sure that protein is your priority from day one. Now, the fourth point is choosing your injection day wisely. See, many people notice that side effects are strongest during the first 1 or 2 days after the injection. So you can choose a day when the following day is relatively less demanding from your work side, from other parts, right? So if you see Saturday, Sunday, weekend, and if you're, in that case, you can even consider it on a Friday. And weekly one injection is what you are looking for, because the half life is 1 week. So if you are selecting your, days accordingly, then that makes it easier to manage that temporary side effect of that first 2 days. Now, coming to the fifth point, see, change your mindset about dosage. Many people think that the goal is to reach the highest dose as quickly as possible so that you can use maximum weight. That's not the goal. See, the goal is finding the lowest effective dose that you can manage and that control your appetite, but at the same time, it should allow you to eat enough nutritious food. So you need to eat also. You need to control your appetite also. I should take nutritious food. I need to get the proteins and everything that intake is required. But at the same time, should avoid the junk foods, right? So if a lower dose is working well for you, there is no reason to increase it. Just stick to that, and that's the best dose in my opinion. If a lower dose is controlling your appetite and allowing you to take the nutritious food, that's the best dose. Don't think about increasing the dose. Now let's discuss the common side effects also. See, one complaint that many people have is sulfur burps, and these are in fact triggered by some foods rather than the medication itself. And if you see the common triggers of this is it could be eggs for some of you, it could be garlic or onions or broccoli, cauliflower or sugar, alcohol, right? It can be the case, and something which is found in protein bars also, sugar, alcohols, maybe some content found in your protein bars, and even drinking through straws also becoming some kind of trigger because you're swallowing some extra air that can worsen the problem. So what you can do is avoid these trigger foods, and that will improve the symptoms significantly. And another tip that I would say is involve that when you're taking the injection, right, you are keeping that injection in the fridge, directly taking and just injecting. So in my opinion, it is better that you keep it 15-30 minutes, that injection in the room temperature, and then you take the injection. It becomes more comfortable because see, when you are injecting immediately after removing the pen from the refrigerator, that cold medication that can sting. So if you can keep it just 15 minutes in the room temperature, then I have seen that this is becoming more comfortable. So that is one thing that you can follow, right? Now, coming to the next one, headaches. Right, this is one of the common complaints that I have seen after the injection, and in many cases, the medication is only the part of the reason, I would say, because when you're taking it's medication as such is not the reason. When you're taking the medication, what happens? Your appetite decreases, so people consume less food, and therefore you have less sodium, less potassium, less magnesium. So that electrolyte imbalance that can contribute to the headache, and that is the reason why you're experiencing the headache. So what you need to do is maintain the adequate electrolyte intake, particularly on the day of injection and the next day. If you can do that, that reduces these symptoms also. Then something common that I've seen is constipation. Many people again take magnesium, but they choose the wrong form. Magnesium glycinate is generally better absorbed and it is more gentler also in the digestive system than magnesium oxide. And far more severe constipation. If you see, in case of severe constipation, I have seen people using magnesium citrate also, but that will give you some short-term relief. But again, it has to be used carefully because it is having some stronger effect also. So, what better is magnesium glycinate in any case. In case if you are using magnesium citrate, you need to be slightly careful about that. Then again, alcohol that can affect people in a different way when you're taking GLP medication, not like the way you when you are normal. See, one good thing is that when you're taking GLP-1 medication, you start consuming less alcohol. That is one thing that I've observed, and I've seen that people stopping alcohol. There were alcohol addicts who started taking very less, and eventually they start disliking the taste of alcohol. And I've seen from my friends, my relatives, I've seen this directly. They started hating alcohol, even the beer. There are my friends who were very much into beer just for the taste of beer, not for that feeling. But they started hating the taste of the alcohol. So that's a very positive thing. But still, some of you still, if you are consuming, then there is a different effect because when you're taking this medication, the stomach is emptying very slow. Stomach is kept full for a long time. So now in that situation, alcohol will enter the bloodstream differently and slowly. And many people don't feel the effects of alcohol immediately. And you may drink more also because you are not feeling that effect immediately. So there is a possibility mistakenly you drink more than the usual. So you need to know here there will be a delayed side effect, right? Not side effect, delayed effect of alcohol. So if you are understanding this, there is no problem. If you don't understand this, there is a possibility that you may consume more alcohol. Another practical point is you have to rotate your injection site. See, when you're repeatedly injecting again in the same area, that may lead to fatty tissue changes, beneath that skin, and that will reduce the medication absorption. So you keep rotate between different areas of your abdomen, your thighs, and your arms. That helps to maintain consistent absorption of your medicine. Then, women taking Tirzepatide, right? They should also be aware that it can, temporarily reduce the absorption of oral contraceptive pills. So, especially after starting treatment, or increasing the dose. So, this is something that you should be discussed with your prescribing doctor and your partner also. Now, again, let me discuss what may be the most important concept of all. So all these things that I've discussed, I would say in general, the most important point that I want to tell you is the first 3 months, the 90 days, are the foundation period when you're taking GLP-1. And during this first 3 months, the appetite is significantly reduced, and that is actually creating an opportunity for you to build healthy habits. So instead of simply focusing on rapid weight loss, this is the period that you should be using to establish a long term routine. So develop consistent protein intake, build a resistance training habit, and improve your sleep. And always try to stay hydrated. So learn healthier eating patterns. And if these habits are built during this first 3 months, then you can maintain that result later. That becomes much easier. If you are not building these habits in the 3 months, then old habits will definitely return once the appetite gradually increases. So another important principle that I want to say is staying on the lowest effective dose. I told you what do you mean by lowest effective dose. It should decrease your appetite at the same time, should allow you to take the nutritious food. So the dose should only be increased if appetite control is no longer adequate. You need a basic appetite control, but at the same time, you should also be in a position to take your proteins and nutritious food. There is a major difference between reducing appetite and eliminating hunger completely. See, healthy hunger should always be required. That should still exist. The medication should simply make healthy choices easier, right? It's not that hunger is eliminated. Completely eliminating hunger, that lead to eating too little. You miss the protein, you miss the nutrition, and that brings us to another common problem, which is known as GLP-1 crash. I don't want that to happen. And some people eat extremely little because they simply don't feel hungry. And you see, when that happens, that weight loss will be rapid initially, but after some time, what happens, when you're eating less, your body also moves to the survival state, and your metabolism will come down. That eventually leads to low energy level, and body will adapt to that. Metabolism is slow. Now again, you will see weight gain more, right? And then brain fog also will appear, and people consistently feel cold. Weight loss also will stop because your metabolism is slowing down. And then you think that it is because of medicine is not working. You will start increasing the dose, which again act as a same cycle. So the body has entered to the energy conservation mode because calorie intake has become too low. So don't allow your body to enter into energy conservation mode or survival mode. That's not required. You need to take food at the same time. You should maintain a healthy habit. So the solution is not necessarily increasing the dose of the medication. The solution is ensuring adequate calorie intake so that your body will function, sufficient protein, and eating according to a planned schedule rather than waiting for feeling hungry. You may not feel hungry. You need to have a schedule, and according to that schedule, eat your calorie, eat your protein also. And many people have also become discouraged when you see weight loss plateaus at reaches at its peak, because this is completely normal. See, as your body weight decrease, metabolism naturally adapts and it slows down. And remember, not every plateau means the medication has stopped working. But if the plateau is continuing for several weeks and you just got stuck there, then you can review your calorie intake, your protein intake, your dosage, your exercise consistency, and whether the current dose is appropriate or not. You can consult your doctor and you can decide. So throughout the entire journey, you need to make sure that two habits that should be absolutely essential. First is protein intake. You can never compromise on adequate protein intake. Second is resistance training. So you need muscles, right? Without these two, a significant portion of the weight loss that happens during GLP medication could be muscles than fat. If you're losing muscle, then metabolism is in trouble, right? Muscle is the body's metabolic engine. So if you have to have a proper metabolic health, you have to preserve your muscle. And then the long-term weight maintenance becomes much more easier. So you have to tell your body that protect this muscle. How you tell your body to do that? Workout, right? Resistance training. At least 3-4 days in a week, and on the important muscles like chest or back or your legs. So tell your body that this muscle is important for me and protect it. Finally, it's very important to understand the real purpose of GLP-1 medication. Many people believe the goal is to lose weight, and once you lost certain amount of weight, you'll stop medication and then again return back to normal life. That's not the case. The better way to think about this GLP medication is The medication provide a period, a window of opportunity for you where the food cravings are reduced and healthy habits becomes easier to build. Think of it like the wheels on a bicycle. See, the training wheels are not the goal. Learning to balance is your goal. So the medication is giving you that opportunity. And the habits that you build during that opportunity that determine your long-term success. And some people may eventually reduce the dose or even stop the medication under medical supervision. And others may require long-term maintenance with a lower dose also. So the important thing is not whether you remain on the medication or not. It is very important to see whether you have built that lifestyle that allows you to maintain your health. So remember these key principles that I've discussed. Know your baseline when you start, prepare before you start, prioritize protein, resistance training, choose the lowest effective dose. That means appetite should be in limit, but at the same time, you're in a position to take nutritious food also and manage the side effects intelligently and build healthy habits during the first 90 days and preserve muscle with resistance training. And you can expect some temporary plateaus, but don't worry about that. And always remember that GLP-1 medications are powerful tools, but long-term success that ultimately depends on the habits that you build when you are using these medication. And if you effectively use this, if you effectively build that lifestyle during this first 3 months, especially, then you don't want to worry, right? Just need to continue that. So, guys, that's about the session. And if you would like to have a one-to-one session on GLP-1 medication or anything related to your fitness, get in touch with us. We'll have a one-to-one session. See you there. Thank you.